community system, we have one implementation in India where India's got a lot of ports, a lot of coastline. So, how do you connect all of the players in the port community, be it from the shipping lines down to the stevedore companies? And our company was actually just involved in a recent study in Brazil where the cabotage carriers, those domestic carriers, were having trouble competing with the international carriers coming in. And I think it came down to, the amount of revenue the port would receive from an international carrier versus a domestic carrier coming in. So basically the port authority there said, how can we be more competitive with the international carriers? We need to make it easier for the ports to work with us. So again, bringing all the players in the ports, and Brazil also has a lot of coastline, so let's bring these ports together. So you only need to submit a manifest once and share that data among all the ports, and once you have the data, then you can of course run all kinds of reports or risk profiling data on the data that you're receiving from the trading community. And the free zone management system I mentioned in Cologne, Panama, where we have an implementation of this type of system. It's basically, tracking cargo within the free trade zone as it comes in and comes out, and whether duty needs to be paid, or whether the cargo is just transiting Panama, which of course maybe most of the cargo does transit Panama, and it actually doesn't go into the country for local consumption. So, of course, at the bottom here, we're holding it all together. You need very strong infrastructure. You need, message hubs, translation engines. As data comes in, you need mechanisms to read the message, whether you're opening the message and reading it, whether you're reading the subject of the message, and, to know who to route the message to. And when you're dealing with, thousands or millions of transactions, these messages will get lost or go into the wrong database. So you need a complex system. Ourselves, we're running Oracle and WebLogic and a lot of the high-end third-party software component systems there. So, and also security management. You're going to go through audits with countries, with companies. So you need to be able to, basically have all your ducks in line, I guess, when the auditors come, and be able to show, messages are properly stored and routed, etc. I'm not an expert on security, but just to highlight that all the building blocks of a system, and there's more, but these are the main ones. And I'm just sort of keeping the focus on sort of the single electronic window more at the government level here today. But here's sort of a snapshot of SEW implementations we have done around the world, starting with the TradeNet, and most recently the project in Qatar, and I mentioned Trinidad and Tobago. So these projects can either be self-funded, if the government has the funds to be able to support a project like this, and it's not small. So if the funding's there, or you can look elsewhere, such as the World Bank, where you have a PPP, sort of a public and private partnership to bring a project like this to the table. Okay, so these are either call them concepts. They might not be concepts in all cases, where the building blocks of the trade facilitation platform. you have the single window component that we spoke about. Moving to a paperless environment. I know this point always makes me laugh because we all talk about going EDI and paperless, but from my own experience, somehow the paper is still there. I don't know, if you dig deep enough, the paper's still there, and we're our own worst critics because I'm up here preaching to you about going paperless and electronic, but I tell you, IT companies probably have the most paper. Internally, one department, can you send me this, sign this? We ourselves, internally, for some reason, we don't go paperless, but we talk about everyone else going paperless. But the e-commerce platform, as you bring in a single electronic window, you start to have payments online, whether maybe you're paying duty and taxes to the government, duty and taxes that you owe, or for example, if you have processing work permits, usually there may be a fee you need to pay for this service. So when you're in a traditional lineup at the desk and pay, that's fine. And then when you bring it online, maybe Crimson Logic can build you the system and everyone can pay online. But what if the legislation doesn't support it? So sometimes that could be your biggest hurdle, is getting the legislation changed for a government to be, or a ministry to be able to accept an electronic payment. So as you start to look at this process, you really need to dig deep down below the surface as well, because if you build it, everybody comes to the party, but oh, by the way, the government, we need to update our legislation. That might take 3 or 4 years or longer. So you need to look at the legislation part as well.